The truck attack on Tuesday ended in front of Stuyvesant High School. Some 600 of the school students were born abroad. Beto Matthews, Associated Press. Just about every other person you might meet in New York City has come from somewhere else. On the lower Manhattan street where the truck attack ended Tuesday afternoon, 5,400 students born in other countries attend the Borough of Manhattan Community College, and 600 go to Stuyvesant High School. They are from more than 100 countries. Also there are, of course, were people born and raised in the city. One of those natives is a woman who had been a high school sophomore in Stuyvesant on 9/11, fleeing with her classmates from chemistry class as people fell from the burning towers down the block. She was in the school on Tuesday, this time as a teacher, gazing through another window at yet more people felled by fanaticism, comforting students who come from any number of countries. For those who call the city home, there is practically no such person as a foreigner. Even with that sprawl of humanity, New York can be lived as a small town, familiar and compact. Take, for instance, the bicycle path used as a death chute. It runs nearly the full length of Manhattan Island, but is just about 13 miles long. Still, it is said to be the busiest such path in the United States. With so many of us from somewhere else, a group of old friends from Argentina and a family from Belgium were bound to be on a Tuesday, in the autumn sunshine, riding alongside the Hudson River as it flowed to the ocean. That path is the best thing to happen to New York City in the last 50 years, said Adrian Benepe, a native of the city. It's possibly New York's happiest place, said Delight was leveraged into death. The man accused of the attack, Sayfullo Saipov, an immigrant from Uzbekistan, was brought to Bellevue Hospital in critical condition after he was shot by a police officer. It was in that same hospital emergency department that trauma surgeons and doctors worked in 1990 to save two men who had been gravely injured in the first round of attacks in the city by Islamic extremists. Separated by a thin curtain were two teams of surgeons, nurses and aides. The patients were victim and attacker Rabbi Meir Kahane, who had been shot near the throat by the man in the next bed, El Saeed Nosser, wounded in close to the same spot by a police officer. Mr. Kahane died. Mr. Nosser, an Egyptian immigrant, survived, and is serving a sentence of life without parole. The virtue of keeping an oath to heal did not fail the medical people in a moment of high passion. President Trump, who has proposed cutting $190 million in federal funding for the counter-terrorism efforts of the New York Police Department, was moved by the deaths in Lower Manhattan to issue a series of pronouncements on Wednesday. He derided the criminal justice system as a laughingstock, lashed blame on a Democratic senator, and called for an end to an immigration program under which Mr. Saipov entered the country. As it happens, when New York was being abandoned in the 1960s and 1970s, a flood tide of immigrants reached the city. They helped to save it, to expand it by more than 1.5 million people, and to make it into one of the country's most powerful economic engines. Some of the brightest children attend Stuyvesant, a selective high school, and many of the most persistent and determined attend Borough of Manhattan Community College. More than 3.2 million people born in other countries live in New York, and nearly half the labor force is immigrants, the city planning department reports. Immigrants are no more an existential threat to New York than bicycle paths. We are not our own enemies. A version of this article appears in print on November 3, 2017, on page 828 of the New York edition with the headline "No Enemy, Immigrants Helped Save New York."